Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Roxanne Sasha here, also known as the Resilient Mum. Welcome back to day 10 of our Bible study. Today we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 17 verses 15 to 22. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, O that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. Verse 22 and last. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. Have you noticed a recurring pattern from Hagar to Abraham to Sarah? There's this pattern whereby God was saying that he was going to bless them exceedingly. With Abraham, he was going to be the father of many nations, and Sarah would be the mother of many nations. These were two people who were well on in their age, they were well on in their years. And of course, looking at it from a scientific point of view, it would be deemed as impossible for her to carry a child. But with God, we know all things are possible. In this passage, we learn that God further instructs Abraham that Sarah would no longer be called Sarai, and she would be called Sarah. We also know that Abraham laughed about this because he thought that it was very funny. He thought it was impossible. And what makes me laugh about this passage is the fact that Abraham was obedient to God. He listened to everything God said. Every instruction God gave him, Abraham submitted himself. He listened, he obeyed. But it was funny to him for God to say that you are going to be a father, your wife is going to be a mother. I'm trying to work out what went wrong, what made him feel like, okay, I'm listening to everything God's saying to me and I'm believing God, I'm trusting him. But hang on a minute, God's saying that I'm going to be a father and that my wife is going to carry a child. Like, this isn't possible. So what made him at that point question God within his heart, or wonder how this would be possible, when up until that point he had already relied on God for everything, and he was already following God's orders, God's instructions, and he was doing well at doing that. We've learned not to doubt God, especially when God shows up in impossible situations. God changes the impossible into possible. If God says it, it's surely going to come to pass. We may not understand the intricate little details, but God, who knows everything, he knows all about it. He knows the ins and he knows the outs. Sometimes it's not for us to know. It's not for us to question him. It's just for us to trust that he said it. And because he said it, it shall be so. There was a reason, like everything that God does, why Abraham and Sarah waited to have their child. Could it be that there was more for Abraham to do? Could it be that Sarah's disobedience and Sarah giving her handmaid Hagar to Abraham also changed God's plan slightly? Could it have been that had she not done that, she potentially would have had her son Isaac before this? We may never know, but the Bible does tell us not to lean on our own understanding, but in everything to trust God, because he knows. There was a point in part of our study where Abraham had spoken to God about not having a seed, not having a son. Although Abraham didn't know it at that point, God's plans were far greater than he could have ever fathomed. He would have thought Abraham a father of many nations and Sarah a mother of many nations. As stated earlier, science would look at it and say someone who is over a certain age, it's not possible for them to have children. But God proved throughout the Bible, and God proved in this particular story that it doesn't matter what her age was, Sarah was going to be a mother. From today's passage, we learn many things. We learn, again, not to doubt God. We learn to continue to trust in Him, to trust in His promises. We also understand that He knows all the details. We don't need to question Him. We don't need to second guess Him. He knows everything. So I want to ask you today, I want to pose this question to you. What is it that God has asked you to do? And what do you believe your purpose is? What are you good at? What do you feel like you could never go through another day not doing ever again? Could it be that you long to write? Could it be that you want to be a writer? Could it be that there's a song in your heart you want to sing? You're good at singing. Could it be that you love art? That's how you reach people. That's how you connect through your artwork. What is it that God has called you to do? Is it that you're a speaker? You have a gift in speaking to others, speaking to people and letting them know about your testimony, sharing what you have been through to hopefully help them and to encourage them. A very recurring pattern in all of the Bible studies that we have looked at is the fact that people followed God's instructions. They were obedient. They submitted to God. They didn't submit to themselves. It wasn't about them. It was about what God wanted them to do. Even somebody like Hagar, who some would look at and say, oh, her purpose was little, her purpose was minute. Even Hagar had a purpose. There was purpose for her and there was purpose for her son. When Hagar left, she went into the wilderness. The angel of the Lord told her to go back and to submit herself to Sarai. And she did that. She could have stayed where she was in the wilderness and it may not have ended nicely, or she could have continued going to where? We don't know. But the fact is, she went back to where she came from. She went back to what she knew. She stayed with Abraham and Sarah. She stayed with them until she eventually went on her way with her son Ishmael. In this season, you could be going through a change. There could be a change in circumstance. There could be a change in name. There could be a change in location. There could be a change in who you're around. There could be a change in your environment. Whatever it is, whatever God is asking you to change, be obedient, submit to Him, and allow Him to work on you, work in your heart, and to help you with this change, because you will need God in every season of your life, the good, the bad, the challenging, whatever season you're going through, you're still going to always need God. You're going to need His direction. You're going to need His truth, because we know that God's truth is prevalent above all. So go through this season of change, and allow God to birth something new in you, whether it's to birth a new thing, whether it's to restore you, or whether it's to complete a work that He is trying to do within you. Embrace this change. Don't worry about what you don't know. Don't worry about the unknown. Embrace this change with God in your life and allow God to take you to the new places that He wants to take you to so that you can thrive. It's always about thriving. It's always about flourishing and growing within the Lord. I pray that today's video has been a blessing for you, and I hope to see you tomorrow for day 11. Bye.